Welcome to the Monsters and Myths Show, where we shine a light on the barriers and obstacles that get in the way of getting things done. Now, today's guest might come as a bit of a surprise to some people because they think, why are you inviting a direct competitor on your show? Because Nick and I actually do pretty much the same thing. But the thing is, there's more than enough for us to do. And actually, we've collaborated in the past and we look forward to collaborating together in the future. We work well together. So, Nick, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Looking forward to the next half an hour.
Fantastic. And like I say, we do, you know, we both do horizon scanning, we do ideation, we do, we try and change things for people. And in trying to change things for people or with people, we tend to encounter a lot of barriers and obstacles. And I'm sure that you and I have got hours worth of war stories to share. So we're going to dive straight in with the monsters and myths that you've encountered. Nick, what's your first monster or myth?
Okay, so the first one I've got is called the two-headed imposter. And actually, I'm not starting from a client's point of view or a business's point of view. I'm starting from an internal point of view. And this derives from my own pathway to innovation. And I studied product design at university and came up with an idea for a self-cleaning toilet door handle. So I was working in the nuclear industry and I was in the loos and I was washing my hands, and some guy walked out without washing his hands and touched the toilet door. And I thought, oh man, I'm gonna have to touch that door handle now. And we had 2 suspected cases of SARS at the time because we had engineers flying back and forth from China. And so they were in quarantine. And so I thought, oh, this is a good idea. And so that's the project that I did out from university, right? And this was back in 2004.
That would have been really useful in COVID times.
Oh, yeah. I released it like 15 years too early, 16 years too early. But it was there really that was my first foray into innovation, right? Trying to make something almost like a massive leap forward. I suppose. I mean, door handles are pretty bad. I did lots of testing anyway. And then moved into marketing and advertising. And then eventually when I was in advertising, I worked for a very well-known ad firm. And it was there really that I discovered that I was talking to the CEO and stuff, and he was just like, Nick, you don't want to be an account manager. You need to do ideas, right? This is your thing. This is what you do. So I was like, okay, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I left, and it was an amazing place to work. I loved it. It was incredible. It was Saatchi's in London, just an unbelievable place to work. And then left there, and then went and worked for a small digital agency. And then I was kind of like, right, I really want to do my own thing. I really want to help businesses. Ultimately, I want to sell ideas, right? And I remember my dad going, no one's going to pay you for ideas, Nick. But now they do, right? So it's great. And so the two-headed imposter thing really derives from my journey and my perception of my own abilities. And I remember I was on Instagram and I was scrolling through this, I've got it here somewhere. I was scrolling through my feed, and it was called the creative process. And this is how I kind of sum up the imposter thing. And so the creative process is you get a brief and you're like, oh, this is awesome. That's kind of like step one. This is amazing. And then you get into the brief and you're like, oh, this is really tricky. That's that's phase 2, right? This is really tricky. And that's where they're kind of like, oh, am I good enough to do this? And then you're into, right, let me think of some solutions to this challenge. And you're just thinking, oh, this is shit. Just can't do it. It's shit. And then you get through to stage 4, which is, I'm shit. It must be me. I'm terrible at doing this. And then once you've explored the problem, you get through to, oh, this might be okay. And then, oh, this is awesome. This is really good. This is a really good idea. Now, I tend to get it more when I'm doing workshops because I'm not from, you know, Capita, Deloitte, EY, what if, like the big Accenture. I never went and was never employed by any of those large innovation agencies. So a lot of the processes that I use are derived from my own journey of trying to make an idea happen. And because I was never in big corporate, it was always kind of, I always thought of myself, well, I'm not, you know, I don't have like a massive R&D team, and I've just done stuff by myself. But I think that is the reason now I work with big corporate, and it is my biggest strength, is the kind of like the imposter thing has switched over to almost like it's the reason why I'm working with these big corporates is because I'm not like them and I've had to hustle through. And so I would say that is the first thing. And then I also think it translates over to business, in that some of the small businesses have that the imposter thing going on within themselves, because they think, well, we're just a small business, you know, we're not in Silicon Valley, we're not a unicorn. They have all this stuff that they perceive. There's no truth around it, but that's what they think is
It's a
true.
belief. It's a self-belief. They don't believe in themselves and their capability to do.
Yeah. And that can often lead to, you know what, we're just going to continue doing what we're doing. So whilst it's cool, like we could do some stuff with you, I think we'll just, you know, we're not Pepsi or Rolls Royce or Danone or whatever. We're a small business of two people, and you know, it's not for us. However, I'm still working with a really small business of two people. So I work with some absolute monsters and some tiny businesses, and the solution that we developed for them is unreal. Like, it's going to shift their business from trading their time for money to hugely scaling it through being able to better serve their customers and giving them ways to do that. And you know, so that's the benefit really of the imposter thing, is that whilst it is within you, it's not a truth, it's your belief that you
And it's
believe to be true.
so and I think this will probably resonate with you. One of the things that I enjoy doing the most, about, because we both teach ideation techniques, not only run ideation sessions for people, but we actually teach it as a technique. And one of the first things I always say to the client is I am not going to be the source of your ideas. I bill myself as an innovation catalyst, as saying, but I am going to unlock that power within your own people and within you. And a lot of people will sit there and they go, yeah, but we just aren't creative. And then you run an ideation session, and the bit where I get my biggest kick is when I start seeing the light bulbs going off in people's eyes, because suddenly they realize that they start coming up with really good ideas because you've taught them a technique on how to unlock it. So that's you know, lots of people who don't believe that they can, when you show them how, then suddenly they realize, actually, we can do this. So the same sort of process as you went through with getting the brief and the, oh my goodness, it's hard. And a lot of the people that I work with, they see it just as an insurmountable task. Or there's something that I read somewhere along the line that said, the more of a specialist you are, the harder it is for you to come up with ideas, because they're so focused in one thing.
Yeah, so I get that in terms. So a good example would be, Nick, we're accountants, we're not creative, and I always show this cave painting, which is about 42,000 years old, in Ardèche in France, and it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful cave painting. Now, we only, as a species, learned to feed ourselves on a consistent basis about 10,000 years ago. So as a species, we are inherently creative, and actually creativity is more important to us than being able to feed ourselves. And the point you make around techniques is something that I also reference with organizations. And I say, the reason why you get to the point of the phase 3, or phase 2, which is, this is tricky, this is shit, we're not going to go any further, is because you don't have any techniques to follow. So what you're doing is you're asking your teams, you're throwing them into a room
That's
and
it.
saying, come up with a solution to this problem. And I can guarantee that Google, Tesla, Pixar don't throw their teams into a room and pray they come up with a great idea to move the business forward. They just wouldn't leave
100%.
it to chance. So why are you as a business doing that? There's no reason to. There's so many tools and so much information out there that you can use to really unlock the potential of not only your people but your business. And I think no matter the size of the business, there's huge opportunity on the other side of this is tricky.
So the key to overcoming the two-headed imposter syndrome is actually showing people how they can actually do it themselves. It's getting them to believe in themselves, because as you said, the imposter syndrome it's a belief, it's a strong belief in your inability to do something. And therefore somebody that comes along and that can actually show you how you can achieve it, that then becomes oh wow, and they overcome the imposter syndrome. Good one to start off with there.
Yeah.
What's your next one?
So the next one I've called Atlas and the Weight of the World. And it's to do with leadership within organizations, in that it's really difficult when you engage with an organization to say to the leadership team, you're going to put in X and you're going to get Y out of it. And because at the beginning you can't tangibly say that, you can reference old case studies, but for them, you can't tangibly say you invest X and you're going to get Y. It almost can sometimes, and certainly this is true of smaller organizations, hinder the progress of innovation within that organization, or just hinder the organization from moving forward because they become risk. It's not so much risk averse, it's more a protectionist. There's more of a protectionist mindset around the business because the woman at the top of the business is looking out for all of her employees. And so sometimes innovation, and certainly ideation and creativity, can be stemmed by that protectionist mindset, and it can play into, if they do go into an innovation process and workshops, it can stunt ideas. Really what we are looking for, the ideal is there's no kind of like there's no agenda, there's no protectionist mindset from the organization from the start. A real good thing would be, today guys, we're going to develop some solutions to this challenge and we've got this budget to test those ideas. So it doesn't matter if they're huge ideas or small ideas, we're going to test some of them. I've never had that in an organization to say we've got some budget to test it. And so consequently what you get is ideas which are almost like hemmed in. Again, it goes back to belief, by the belief of the organization, in that they have to be protective and it has to be an idea which is scalable and familiar to the organization. And so I think that can play into, if you're holding group sessions, if you've got the leadership team in there, sometimes the rest of the group feel that they can't express their solutions, or that they might have solutions that they've been harboring for ages. They've been waiting to kind of like, explain this in the forum of the workshop. And actually it can sometimes, Atlas, who is the woman or the man at the top of the organization, can stem that.
Put the
I'm
artificial
not saying,
constraints around.
sorry?
They put artificial constraints around it because the
Artificial
people aren't
constraints.
comfortable about speaking, about being creative in front of leadership type of a thing.
Yeah. It's and
So
I have experienced.
how have you addressed that? Have you simply removed the leadership? I'll tell you one way how I have done it in the past that's worked, but you tell me, how have you?
I don't exclude them. I don't believe it's beneficial to the process to exclude them, because actually, if they are ultimately the people that will sign off any initiatives, and it's far better for them to be involved in it. One of the ways that I manage it is to break the working group into smaller groups, and then the leader goes across the different groups. So everyone does get an opportunity to speak. If they're really kind of like protectionist, we can't do that because of that. I've had examples of leaders going, we can't, there's no way we can do that. It's going to be too expensive. When actually, if you reduce the idea down to something tiny,
More
you
manageable.
can do it. And once you see the benefit of doing that idea and the data coming back into the business of, oh, this really resonates with our audience, suddenly there's like, oh, let's take some money from over here and put it into this because I can see the ROI on it, which is where we went right back to the beginning of proving that if you invest X, you get Y. So it's not about stemming the idea, and it's not about stunting the growth of the idea within the workshop. You know, you've got to give it room and you've got to give it legs to breathe. If you're instantly like, we can't do that because of this, then there's no point in doing the workshop in the first place, really. How do you do it? How do you
Well,
sort of...
a variety of ways, but the one that stands out for me that worked, and it doesn't work in all size organizations. I once ran a workshop for a very large organization that was geographically spread, and
right.
it was a interdisciplinary workshop, so running across multiple different teams. We had marketing, we had design, we had engineers, manufacture, we had IT, we had a whole group of cross-functional teams in there. And it was held at an actual industrial site of theirs, and the industrial site hardly ever got to physically interact with any of the leadership. And I insisted that, number one, everybody arrives in casual dress. Number two, nobody uses surnames or titles. All name tags everywhere is first name only. And the groups on the tables, it was a group of about 24, 25 people in the workshop. And the groups were completely mixed up. And even I did not know who the people were. I only knew them, and I insisted on that from the beginning. I said to the guy that was the internal coordinator, I said, you jumble up the seating, you will know who everybody is, but I won't. And therefore I'm treating everybody the same way. And it was a full day workshop, and there was one particular person on a table that was quite, I would say, quite gobby, and but in a good way, good banter. And I ended up having quite a bit of banter with this lady the whole time. And the workshop was scheduled to finish at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and at 2 o'clock, she came up to me and she said, I really have to go, but I've so enjoyed this. I can't believe the amount of creativity and the ideas that have been coming out of this. Really want to thank you. Shook my hand and left. And the guy who was organizing came back and he said, okay, now that she's gone, I'll just let you know that the person that you've been giving the hardest time in the room, that's the CEO. And
Really?
nobody, he said, very few people in this room will actually know who she was because she's never down at this site. And that was and she's never had interaction with the team. And yeah, the senior leadership was completely interspersed, and everybody was reduced to the same level simply because first names only, and nobody, I said to the guy, you've got to drill it in. Nobody can pull rank in this. Everybody's just a person interacting. We want ideas. We want creativity. We don't want boundaries. This was the divergent thinking part. Convergent thinking can come later. And I know you preach the same thing. First divergent, explode all the opportunities, explore the art of the possible. Then we'll review and come back and start putting the constraints around. But first, we're going to think broadly. And that particular workshop led to a series of workshops, which led to the client sponsoring a trial of some of the ideas. They allocated £100,000 budget. Within 6 months, they got board sign off to increase that to £1 million budget, which then spiraled into 3 international R&D centers and a product launch at the Consumer Electronics Show 3 years after I had done the workshops, where they invited me on the show on their stand. First time they'd ever been at the Consumer Electronics Show. They won Best in Class Innovation for their category, won an award, and they had invited me on to say, here's the fruits of the workshop that you ran 3 years ago. And it was amazing. It had turned into a multi-million-pound product line for them. All that came out of that one little interaction. It was 3 workshops I ran for them in the end, but just that one initial interaction, because we didn't put the constraints there. And you're right, leadership often feel that they have this responsibility to everybody, that they don't want to disappoint people by letting people think that their ideas might have legs, so they just squash them right there and then. And it's just wrong place, wrong time. First harvest the ideas, then we'll put some rationality behind it. Yeah, seen that monster, identify it, we can conquer it. So your third and final one, what you got for us?
Third and final one, I don't really have a snappy name for it, but it's around the problem with ideas. And so one of the things that I've experienced once we've gone through a workshop is that sometimes teams will ask, oh, how did we stack up against other teams, or how did we stack up against other businesses, or did we generate loads of ideas? Ultimately it's down to them to understand whether it's worked for them. But I believe that the key to unlocking great ideas is through the problem part. And I'll explain what I mean. So the businesses that tend to ask, how did we do, tend to have gathered little insight around the problem, or they gathered insight, but it's the wrong problem that they're looking at. So I always work with businesses around understanding what the problem is. So I like, in a typical business, you'll have R&D that will do the research and development. I think it should be reframe and development. So the first thing you should always do, and the key to unlocking great ideas and really generating lots of ideas, is the problem that you start with. And a good way to explain it is that in school, and this is the way I explain it to the people that I work with and we do the workshops with, in school we are taught binary thinking. We're taught things like to solve problems like, what does 5 + 5 equal? And what we don't learn is to turn that into what 2 numbers add up to 10, because as soon as the problem's unlocked and you reframe that, you can generate hundreds and hundreds of ideas. And so I find the problem with ideas is not the ideas, it's always the problem at the start. It's always the beginning. And I think that if teams work in a way to really understand what is the challenge we're trying to solve, and then do the insight, you'll get much better solutions as a result of that, as opposed to, this is the challenge, we need more sales, go and understand what the competitors are doing, let's do the same as them. I mean, that's like a race to the bottom. Or you're not going to get any. Well, you will get incrementally further along, but you're not going to like set a light to anything. And so I think that it just needs to be reframed at the beginning. So it's reframe and development as opposed to challenge, research and development. And that's kind of like the other thing I would say.
And it's one of the fundamental ways that we evaluate ideas, because an idea is worthless unless it can be executed to create value. And that value could be cost reduction, it could be increase in profits or sales or whatever. But an idea that's just an idea that has no value really isn't worth anything. And because I know you ask the same thing. The first thing that you do to evaluate somebody's idea is, what problem is it solving?
Yeah.
So I'm sure that you get people that come up to you all the time with ideas, and they go, we've got this great idea, we're going to do X, Y, Z, solopreneurs, or the side hustlers, individuals that suddenly have a brain bubble in the shower, and they go, oh my goodness, I've just had this revelation, I'm going to create a umbrella for people to wear in the shower so that they don't get their hair wet,
Yeah,
and the first thing that I ask, and I'm sure that you do too, is what problem is it solving? Who's it solving the problem for? Do they care about having that problem solved for them? So as you
yeah.
say, the idea is far less important than understanding the actual problem and understanding what the problem means, because then it unlocks different set of opportunities and ideas.
Yeah, the idea is the easy part. So I'll give you an example. They're they're a multinational and they sell lenses, glasses lenses through a distribution network. So retailers, they're independent opticians, and they weren't selling a huge amount of lenses. And so they said, right, what we need to do is get loads more advertising material into our independent retailers. That's what they need to sell more of our product. Them on the problem, and we changed it to how can we empower our retailers to better serve their customers. And I went in, I always like doing kind of like in the field research, right? And I went through the user experience of one of their independent retailers. And what I found was there was already loads of advertising material advertising their product. But the person who met you at the door of the opticians also then, after you've been through for your appointment, tried to sell you frames and lenses. And so we created the solution whereby the global business that manufactured the lenses created a platform where independent opticians could upload their logo to it, and serve their customers with a means of, okay, here's your appointment. So the appointment's booked in, opens the platform, you get to tell the platform about your lifestyle. So I do a lot of work on the computer. I have an active lifestyle, so probably like scratch resistant lenses would be, a thing for me. You go through all these preferences, and then you go through the frames, because independent retailers, they stock a set amount of frames that might not be relevant to you, or you might not like them. So you say, these are the frames that I like. And what it affords the independent retailer to do is have some information on the customer before they even get to the store, allows you to understand what functionality within the lens that you want, so scratch resistance, blue light resistance, whatever it may be. So when it comes to the point of sale, the sales assistant isn't saying, right, which lenses do you like and which frames do you like. They've got it all mapped out for you. And they can say, so the reason why we've put blue light in, a blue light protection, is because that you're working on your computer all the time. We noticed that you mentioned that you've got, you have an active lifestyle. So we've got the scratch resistance. The difference between those two original problems is we need more point of sale, internally focused. It's about us. It's the wrong, you're not going to generate loads of ideas to that because the problem isn't externally facing. The other one, how might we empower our retailers to better serve their customers, is externally focused. And so you can generate a lot more solutions to that, and solutions which resonate with your audience. And that's the whole power of innovation. Everything starts with the problem, because like I said, the ideas are the easy part. They're just, you can generate ideas like that all the time. It's the problem that you want to really interrogate.
That is a brilliant way of summing up and putting a line under the session. The problem with ideas is 100%. Definitely with you on that one. Nick, that's all that we've got time for. Thank you very much. I will
No,
put all
thank
of your
you.
social media links and everything in the show notes so that people can get hold of you if they want to find out more about ideas and the problems with ideas, and how to run ideation sessions, and if they want some great ideas from you as well. So we'll make sure they can get in touch. Thank you very much for coming on the show today.
No worries. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers.